Hey guys, welcome to Sky World. Governor Ron DeSantis has toured the country calling Florida the place where woke goes to die. But it's still alive at the company Sarah Margolis runs. At Honey Fund, a website for engaged couples to create gift registries that can pay for their honeymoons, Margolis Florida employees learn about privilege and institutional racism. Margolis, the CEO and co-founder, said the training makes her staff better suited to serve couples of any background. Planning for this fall's employee retreat is underway, with a session scheduled on diversity, equity, and inclusion, a term DeSantis often rails against. DeSantis tried to ban such employee training in 2022, when the Florida Republican championed what he called the Stop Woke Act. But Honey Fund and others sued on the grounds that the law violated their free speech. A federal judge agreed and blocked it from going into effect. The DeSantis administration then appealed, one of many of the governor's ongoing legal battles as he pursues the presidency. Companies aren't going woke out of allegiance to Democrats. Time after time, diversity has proven to be good for the bottom line. Margolis said, valuing diversity means understanding it, understanding means training, and training means having to deal with this law. We were really handed a chance to make a difference for other business owners by challenging it, and we took it. In his early outreach to Republican voters, as a presidential candidate, DeSantis has portrayed himself as a fighter and, crucially, a winner in the cultural battles increasingly important to conservatives. If elected to the White House, he'll take those fights to Washington, he has said. I will go on offense, DeSantis said in Iowa last month. I will lean into all the issues that matter. But back in Florida, the agenda at the centerpiece of his pitch remains unsettled. Still ongoing are more than a dozen legal battles testing the constitutionality of many of the victories DeSantis has touted on the campaign trail. Critics say DeSantis has built his governorship around enacting laws that appeal to his conservative base, but that, as a Harvard-trained lawyer, he knows are unconstitutional and not likely to take effect. In addition to halting parts of the Stop Woke Act, judges have also intervened to freeze implementation of other DeSantis-led laws cracking down on protesters and big tech. The 6-week abortion ban he signed this year, which he has called the heartbeat bill, when speaking to conservative, and especially evangelical, audiences, won't take effect unless the state Supreme Court determines that a privacy clause in Florida's constitution doesn't protect access to the procedure. Disney, the most famous of DeSantis' political adversaries, has argued in court that the governor overstepped his power when he orchestrated a takeover of the entertainment giant's special taxing district to punish the company for speaking out against his agenda. So did Andrew Warren, the twice-elected Tampa prosecutor whom DeSantis suspended last year in another act of political retaliation. DeSantis has repeatedly predicted he will ultimately prevail in these challenges. Brian Griffin, a spokesman for his campaign, called the lawsuits the tactics of activists who seek to impose their will on people by judicial fiat. These attempts to circumvent the will of the legislature are not indicative of anything beyond the failure of the left's ideas at the ballot box, Griffin said in a statement. Governor DeSantis is a proven fighter who will bring the same temerity to the presidency. Recent weeks, though, have seen a handful of reminders that several pillars of his record remain fragile even as they figure prominently in his stump speeches. On Friday, A federal judge blocked a new Florida law that gave the DeSantis administration the power to shut down bars or restaurants that admit children to certain adult live performances, widely seen as a crackdown on drag shows. Another federal judge said Wednesday that Florida could not restrict transgender adults on Medicaid from receiving gender-affirming care. The same judge earlier this month had stepped in to allow 3 transgender children to receive puberty blockers while a lawsuit seeking to overturn a state ban on the treatment proceeds. In both rulings, the judge said there was no rational basis to prevent the care and declared gender identity is real, casting doubts on the future of the state's prohibition. DeSantis, as a presidential candidate, has seized on conservative concerns over such treatment, particularly for minors. His efforts to halt it, including signing a law that prohibits transgender children from receiving gender-affirming treatments and punish doctors who run afoul of it, are prominently featured in his stump speeches. Speaking to North Carolina Republicans after the ruling, the governor acknowledged the legal fight, but he assured the audience, "We are going to win. It is mutilation, and it is wrong, and it has no place in our state," he said. DeSantis, of late, has also taken credit for the GOP's narrow U.S. House majority, noting the highly partisan map he pushed through his state legislature, which ultimately helped Republicans net 4 critical seats. But those suing Florida to invalidate the state's congressional boundaries have new reason for optimism after the U.S. Supreme Court ordered Alabama officials to redraw its map to allow an additional black majority district. The DeSantis map was similarly criticized as diminishing the power of minority voters in Florida. "Many of the things coming from the governor are form over function," said Cecile Schoon, president of the League of Women Voters of Florida, one of plaintiffs in the redistricting lawsuit. "They want to get to a certain result, so they find a means to do it, whether it makes logic or legal sense or not."